This was supposed to be the happiest day of her life, but in one blink, her dream wedding turned into a full-blown nightmare. And honestly, you won't believe the things she had to do just to stay alive. Welcome to The Herd, a Nollywood movie on Netflix that basically went straight into the den of terrorists and kidnappers just to prove to us that if our country continues like this, weeping won't only last for the night, it will remain present in the morning. The movie starts in Ekiti, inside a church where Daring is getting married to Fola. The moment the minister announced them as Mr. and Mrs., their parents jumped, filled with ecstasy, singing, "This is the day of joy, the day of joy, the day of joy." And to be fair, it really was. Meanwhile outside, their friend Gossi, who's acting as their driver, gets a call from his wife, Adama, back in Lagos, and this one is not a happy call at all. She found a lump on her chest. She had fought cancer before, with chemo and everything, but this time, she was tired. She told him she was ready to give up, but he begged her, promising they would face it together, even telling her that he had 25 million naira saved. But before they could finish the call, Fola and Daring get in. These fresh newlyweds, they were exhausted from all the dancing, smiling, and picture-taking especially. They just wanted to go home. And just like an Uberman would, Gossi grants them their wish and begins their trip. But soon, they hit a small traffic, or what seemed like it at least. Some herdsmen were crossing the road with their cattle. For Nigerians, well, that one are normal. They didn't even bother themselves. They just kept singing along to Angel of My Heart by Paul Play that they heard on the radio. Honestly, it was cute. Then suddenly, gunshots everywhere. These headsmen were not just headsmen, they were kidnappers and terrorists. They started dragging people out of their cars, including youth service corpers. In this moment, you have to think fast. What would you do if you were in this position? Gossi shouted, "Let's run! We need to run!" and dashed out of the car, straight into the forest on the right. Fola ran left, but when he turned back for his bride, they shot him. Derry screamed, holding his body. The same man that shot Fola looked her dead in the eyes and said, "Kay, you are mine, and wallahi I will marry you." Omo, just look at this madness. Gossi kept running for his life. The kidnappers chased him, shooting anyhow. Thankfully, they were new to the job. This was their first ever operation, so they kept missing. Look at me screaming, "Run, Gossi, run!" At least maybe he would escape. But then he stopped. In front of him was a river, just water, no bridge. So what now? These men were getting close. He hid behind a big tree. Then suddenly, Gossi's phone started ringing. And in that tension, he started singing, "If you're happy and you know it, clap your hands." Oh my God. Really? Right now? It was Adama calling again. And you can understand why. Before he could silence it, the call picked itself, the phone fell, and her voice came through. The headsman heard it, and they found him. They fired more shots into the air and knocked him unconscious. Adama heard everything, the gunshots, the chaos, and prayed for his life, just thinking of their 2 children, which is why she actually called to begin with. The kidnappers dragged Gossi back to the others and forced them to carry the bodies of the people they had killed. Gossi carried Fola's corpse, while Daring, who was blank, just followed. By the time the police arrived, the kidnappers were long gone. They only found abandoned cars and phones. Detective Garba and his colleague suspected that these were amateurs. Sheikh, a known terrorist, they said, never brings operations this far south, so mistakes were bound to happen. Or so they hoped, at least. Meanwhile, in the forest, the victims were exhausted. Some had no shoes, but the kidnappers didn't care. Their leader, Halil, had small empathy, but Anas, the same man who killed Fola, he was wicked, short-tempered, and had zero respect for their leader. Anyway, these herdsmen didn't understand a single word of English, only Hausa, and aside from kidnapping for ransom, they also sold human body parts. Yes, you heard that right, human parts. That's why they needed the dead bodies intact. And like a true demon in human skin, this Olori Buruko Anas handed Derry a machete and told her to cut up her own husband. Derry leaves the machete, not to cut Fola, but to stab Anas. Immediately, he cocks his gun at her and warns her that if she tries it, he will not hesitate to shoot her, rape her afterwards, and then further kill her. Jehovah have mercy. Derry couldn't do it. How can she cut the man she just vowed forever with and to? She couldn't. She didn't want to. So, Gossi stepped forward, offering to do it to save her life. And with every strike of the machete, Derry screamed. It was like each hit was slicing through her own soul. Minutes ago, Fola was her husband. Now, She's watching him turn into something I can't even mention. The pain was beyond indescribable. When it was over, Anas reached for Fola's Apple Watch, but Halil stopped him, insisting that they are not thieves. Wait, hold on. What did you say? You kidnapped people. You are selling heads. But a wristwatch is where you draw the line? Talk about a moral compass. Yeah, alright. Meanwhile, both families, Derin's, Fola's, and all the families of the kidnapped victims have gathered at the police station. And while the police still have zero leads, they awaited the call for a ransom from the kidnappers. Later, some masked men arrived, wearing Ojuju Calabar masks. These are the human parts buyers sent by one grandma. Basically, the men wanted the head and grandma wanted the rest. They argue over the price, and that's when we discover that some of them actually speak Yoruba. So, after the back and forth, they settled on half the original price. These people negotiated like they were buying meat from the market. And on top of it, one masked guy even snuck Fola's watch into his pocket. Night had fallen when they finally reached the kidnappers' hideout. Everyone is exhausted, starving, and dehydrated. The herdsmen bring them water in a bucket like they were animals. And when the victims all struggle to drink, at the same time, everything spills. Not a single person gets a single drop. God, I beg. Now, you know that saying, there's someone for everyone? Well, even would-be terrorists aren't exempt. They have partners too. Their leader's wife, Habiba, was there, and she couldn't care less about these victims. The hostages were starving seriously, and these terrorists just threw a few sticks of corn at them like they were feeding goats. Habiba didn't like that at all. She scolded them for treating the captives like animals. Oh, well, I stand corrected. She had small human feeling. She noticed Derin was still in her wedding gown and offered her some pieces of corn. Gosi rushed to thank her and grabbed them before the others would snatch them. But Derin, she was too broken to care about food. Back in Lagos, Adama was about to report the abduction to the police when she gets a call from the kidnappers. They briefly allowed her to speak to Gosi before Habiba, who understood English, gave their demands 50 million naira, 3 bags of Indian hemp, and 10 packs of cigarettes, all to be delivered in 24 hours and with absolutely zero involvement of the police. Adama didn't want to find out what would happen if they realized she was standing right in a police station, so she ran out immediately. And just like her, every other family in the station began receiving similar ransom calls. Each call lasted less than a minute, too short for the tracking team to trace a single thing. Later, Gossip quietly apologizes for slicing through Fola's body, but grieving and widowed Derry blames him for instructing them to run, believing Fola would have survived if they had stayed. And then he tries to comfort her. Ogbeni, Joe. Now, as you know, in every story, there's always a villain and a hero. The villains, well, we already know them. The hero, probably this Maibo guy among the captives that suddenly decided that it was his destiny to save the day. He whispers an escape plan in Igbo to the copper. But fear catch madam say me snake no go bite them for forest. As them they run. Anyway, Gossi overheard the gist and begged to join. One name, Kewe. Even though he's a half Igbo man, he didn't fully understand the language. And after a little hesitation, one name agreed to include him. But before they could discuss properly, Abiba walked in with mosquito coil for the captives. As soon as she left, one name continued to explain the plan, although without giving the exact details. Gossi was so excited about this escape mission that he went to tell Derry. But this girl, she was neck deep in grief. She just sat there, sadly humming that song from earlier, the same one with Fola. My oh my, angel of my life. Yeah, a song that once sounded like love, now sounded like a memorial hymn. But guess what? All that prison break talk ended up being pointless because the herdsmen suddenly asked one name to stand up. They dial his older sister, but before any demand is made, Anna simply shoots him dead, just like that. Omo, why? It turns out Habiba, who understands English, had overheard their escape plans earlier, and instead of reporting to Halil, the actual leader, she took the gossip straight to Anas, the human version of bad news. And Anas handled it as you would expect, in the worst way possible. Even though they just lost a potential 50 million naira ransom, they still didn't want to waste the body, so they ordered Gossi to carry one Nem's corpse to be sold. But see, Anas's disrespect for Halil isn't just about leadership. It's long-standing bitterness. They broke away from their leader, Sheikh, and Anas has been comparing Halil to him ever since. Plus, Anas is angry that Halil has a wife he sleeps with every night, while he, Anas, is fully sex-starved. All that sexual frustration finally pushed him overboard. He dragged Derry outside and tried to rape her. Gussie ran to defend her and got a blow to the face for his troubles. Derry's screams were so loud, they dragged Halil and Habiba out to the scene, and Halil quickly stopped Anas. Their plan was always to get paid first, then decide Derry's fate. But Anas, no patience. He even talked back at Halil again, and Habiba could not understand why Halil was still tolerating this madness. And it's all because Halil sees him as a trusted soldier. When she suggested Halil should make her a trusted soldier too, the look he gave her, well, let's call that a lover's bombastic side eye. Meanwhile, the police finally got their first solid lead. Fola's parents went to Detective Garba, worried that they hadn't received any ransom call yet. But the real reason became clear when they told him Fola's Apple Watch had just turned back on. You don't need a prophet to know what that means. The watch could be tracked, and the location? Inside one church where a strong prayer session was happening. There was serious kabashing going on. The SDS team stormed the place. Garba even closed the prayer himself. Before the pastor could say, "In Jesus' name, we pray," he brought out the search warrant and then noticed a guy wearing Fola's Apple Watch. "Nice watch," he said. "Now anyone with an Apple Watch to my left, everyone else to the right." He separated the wolves from the sheep and took them, pastor included, outside for questioning. Then something caught his eye. He followed the trail and discovered a small shed that looked like a butcher's room. And inside, they found a fridge. Inside it were human remains, Fola's remains. He didn't even know how to break the news to Fola's parents. He just handed them the Apple Watch, and when they didn't see Fola with it, their hearts broke instantly. The pain these families went through, simply unimaginable. I mean, where on earth were they supposed to get such huge amounts of money? Adama, so desperate, ran to the bank Gussie had mentioned. Yes, the same one with 25 million sitting somewhere. But she wasn't a signatory, and her husband, since he was totally unreachable, the bank refused her request. Even telling them that he was kidnapped changed nothing. She got so frustrated she started smashing things around. Because honestly, who wouldn't? Just tell me. Eventually, they threw her out. Back at the station, Detective Garba was interrogating the three men from the church, including the pastor. Innocent, 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 they all claimed. But when the threat of immense torture came up, the truth spilled. The one in whose possession the Apple Watch had been found was one of the masked men, and he gave them a location. Meanwhile, Halil and Anas were still having leadership issues. Anas, impatient and hot-headed as ever, insisted, "You have to kill to gain respect, just like Sheikh." Halil, slightly more strategic, argued that killing all the hostages would mean no pay, no weapons, and no chance to build their own kidnap network. And just then, the police storm in. Only, it's the wrong house. Just children eating with their grandma. No terrorists inside. Now it turns out, the one who stormed in on Halil and Anas was Sheikh himself, and he was far from happy with Halil's operation. After raising him, teaching him everything, and even gifting him his wife, Habiba, who was once their captive, he felt betrayed. He demanded 80% of the ransom. Halil reluctantly agreed, only to turn around and stab Sheikh in the back. And as Sheikh stumbled out of the room, a shootout erupts between his men and Halil's crew. In the end, Halil comes out victorious. That's when Anas finally starts showing him some respect. But now, the bigger problem was Sheikh's second in command, Yakubu. Yakubu is bound to come looking for revenge. Habiba begins freaking out. She knows if Yakubu shows up, he won't just wipe out Halil's operation, he would also molest her before finishing her off. At the same time, Adama faces another harsh blow of rejection from Gussie's business partner, Tuliwa. Remember that 25 million? Gussie had taken it after forging Tuliwa's signature. And now, the company doubts the kidnap story and refusing to help with any ransom. As if that wasn't enough, the abductors call, desperate for the cash, threatening to kill Gussie. Adama, left with no choice, offers to go to Gussie's parents, only for him to outrightly refuse. What? See, it's complicated. Gussie's parents had never approved of their marriage because Adama is an Osu, and that was an abomination. In their eyes, they refused to pay the ransom, even though they could afford it for their own son. Only when Adama agreed to divorce Gussie did they soften a little. But there was a catch. She had to sign a contract and hand over her children to them. While the parents were deliberating, with their own son's life, mind you, Adama suddenly begins coughing violently, with blood pouring from her mouth before eventually fainting. Nevertheless, Habiba continues to threaten the other families and calls Derry's mom, who now has the 50 million, Before giving the drop-off location, she lets her speak to Daring, and mistakenly, Mama mentions Fola's death, tipping off Habiba that the police somehow were involved. She threatens to kill Daring if Mama doesn't tell her the truth. Garba joins, begging as her uncle, but Habiba cleverly asks Daring if her mom had a brother and what his name was. Her mom is an only child. Daring realizes the trap and says Mr. David Cole. Habiba turns back to Garba and presses further, asking for his full name. Omo, he senses the trap and drops off the call. The terrorists were now growing impatient and suspicious. Habiba calls again and he apologizes, saying the network was bad. And this time, he gives Mr. Cole as the surname, but omits the first name because he didn't know what Daring might have used. But Habiba isn't satisfied. She presses again for that first name. And again, Garba just drops off the call. Omo, they were ready to start raining bullets at the hostages. But then a sudden noise came from the bushes. Is that? Oh, it's the grandma. The same one Garba had mistaken. Or just an ordinary grandma? Yay! It turns out she was the real grandma who sends the human part buyers. She warns them, in Yoruba, that the police were onto them. The only Yoruba speaker among the men translates it in Hausa, using their distraction. The anti-copper gets up and picks serious race before Gosi and Derry, who were deliberating to use the same move to escape. In their panic, the terrorists couldn't chase after her. Instead, they hurriedly moved the remaining hostages. The march continued through the dead night. No rest, no mercy. Derry, exhausted, collapsed after stepping on something sharp and started bleeding badly. Gosi begged the kidnappers for water to clean the wood, but Anas, of course, spilled it on the ground like some cruel joke. Quick-thinking Gosi used his sleeve to tie the wound and keep her alive. But the horror didn't stop. As they resumed walking, Anas slapped her bum, screaming at them to move. Derry, almost at her limit, yelled back and almost got herself killed before Halil dragged Anas away. The twisted part, Halil tells Anas he could only kill them all if the ransom wasn't met. And Anas, smiling like a madman because he had been waiting to hear those words for ages, and only then did he agree to follow orders. Meanwhile, Adama woke up in the hospital thanks to her in-laws dragging her there. However, they disregarded whatever health issues she had and just made her sign the contract, and almost immediately, Habiba called and gave the drop-off location. Kogi, 9 a.m. and she, Adama, had to come alone. Finally, when they had a little rest, Gosi tries to encourage Daring, telling her he's determined to make it out alive, at least for his children and wife. But while he has someone waiting for him, she has no one. The guilt over Fola's death eats at her. She wishes she had run when he asked. Overwhelmed, she breaks down completely and he just consoles her. Adama drove all night, following instructions to the latter. But the police had eyes on her too. After monitoring the calls from the abductors, after dropping the bags, two boys playing football grabbed the bags and ran with them. One police officer catches one of them, but it's a decoy, just clothes inside. He followed the second one and saw him hand it over to the terrorist pickup crew. They called Halil immediately. Overjoyed, the terrorists celebrated, shooting bullets in the air, and that meant Gosi was free to go. But of course, Gosi wasn't leaving Daring behind, and just then, the police surround the pickup crew. Before a shootout starts, one of them calls Halil, warning him to kill Gosi, thinking his parents had alerted the police. Surprisingly, Habiba jumps in front of Gosi, shielding him and begging Halil not to. At that moment, Yakubu shows up, looking for Sheikh. Meanwhile, as the shootout continued, the police eventually killed the two pickup guys. Now back here, Yakubu and Halil argue over Sheikh's whereabouts. Gosi and Daring used the distraction to escape, and Anas and another terrorist went after them. But you see, Yakubu knows the truth. To save herself, Habiba had betrayed Halil. She had earlier revealed to him that Halil killed Sheikh. In the meantime, Gosi and Daring make it to the main road, but no cars are coming and nobody will help them. Even after hearing that they were kidnapped, Gosi forcibly takes a phone from a corn seller who immediately starts shouting, "Ole! Ole! Ole!" He manages to call Adama, who the police had held, passing the phone to Garba. They get their location and head straight to them. Gosi drops the phone and keeps running with Daring, but she's tired and wounded. Slowing them down, she urges him to run find the police and come back for her. Hesitant, he obeys and leaves. Just then, Anas, having sent the second terrorist away to get Halil, caught up with her. He was about to carry out all his threats, but Gosi jumped on him. A fierce struggle for the gun ensued. Anas had the upper hand over both of them and was ready to shoot until Garba fired and Anas dropped dead instantly. The police rescued Gosi and Daring, and on seeing his wife, emotions hit them both. They ran to each other, clinging as tight as they could, letting the tears fall freely. But Daring could only watch. Whatever joy that moment might have brought Gosi had already been stolen from her earlier. Meanwhile, Yakubu had Halil tied up along with his men, offering the hostages the chance to stone them for their freedom. After their rescue, the police returned Gosi and Daring to the station, where they reunite with their loved ones. Adama, despite everything, pledges to keep fighting her cancer for them and their children. Yet, even after seeing how broken Gosi and his wife were, they were still determined to go through with the contract, saying a deal is a deal. The movie leaves some questions hanging, like the fate of the other kidnapped victims and the core members still on the run. But providing you with real-world context, it is just heartbreaking. I mean, according to the 2018 Global Terrorism Index, herdsmen have killed nearly 1,700 people between January and September alone. Since 1999, the farmers-herdsmen conflicts have killed thousands and displaced tens of thousands more. Between July 2022 and June 2023, 3,620 people were abducted in 582 kidnapping cases, with about 5 billion naira, yes, $3.8 million, paid in ransoms, according to SPM Intelligence, Al Jazeera. That being said, I think we should also note two things. One, your terrorists or your herdsmen killing and kidnapping people are not just Hausa people. They are people from all walks of this country. And two, it could happen to anybody, including you and I. And with that, we've reached the end of The Herd, a movie directed by Daniel Etim Effiong in his directorial debut and now streaming on Netflix. And that's a wrap for today's video. Feel free to share your thoughts in the comments, like, subscribe, and until next time on Worthy of Recap.